Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Value of Testing podcast. My name is Randy Rice, and I just have some thoughts to share with you today about one of the, I think, biggest topics that I hear testers talking about right now, and that is how to land a software testing job in this crazy economy and with AI and everything. It is a brutal job market out there if you're looking for a job right now. And just as a point of reference, I'm recording this on Wednesday, March 4th of 2026. And so I hope conditions improve, but if you're watching this video at some point in the future, just keep in mind when it was recorded. It's no news to anybody that is looking for work that it's a tough job market out there. And I'm going to give you my best take on things, especially as a software tester, and how you can be best positioned to land a job in this market. Now, it may not be your ideal job, but it may be your best option right now. After all, it is an employer's market at this point. One thing I've noticed over the years of experience, I've been in software development and testing for almost 50 years now. And there are so many things that are pendulum swings that when a thing first comes into the marketplace, you'll see the pendulum swing one way and then eventually swing back the other. And it's not only with technologies, but it's with approaches and all kind of things. I've just seen it happen so many times. Now, the thing that's unpredictable about that is how long does it take for the pendulum to swing? And I would love it to become an employee's market again, a job hunter's market, where you have several good options. You can be a little bit picky about who you work for. You don't necessarily have to work for a sweatshop, but unfortunately, we're not quite at that point yet. Now, once again, my name is Randy Rice. My company is Rice Consulting Services. I've started this podcast to help you as software testers and test managers navigate what we do as testing, but not only navigate it, but also how do you find value in it so that you're seen as someone that does not want to find themselves put out into this job market. So if you find this video helpful, of course, please share it and even subscribe. I would love to be on your subscriber list, and you'll see that I post a new podcast every week on different topics. I would love to hear your ideas of what you might want to hear about in other topics down in the comments. On this topic, I would also love to hear about your thoughts about what I'm going to say. Some of it may be a bit controversial, and that's, just my opinion. So I'm happy to be challenged on my opinions. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. Now, just one more bit of background. I've been in so many different roles. I've been a coder. I've been a tester. I've been a test manager. I've been a fractional QA director for multiple companies, a consultant, a trainer. Just about you name it, I've done it in a variety of different contexts. Fortune 100 companies, major government agencies, NASA and others, Department of War. So my experience kind of cuts across the board. But with all that said, I'm going to give you about 10 big thoughts here. So this podcast may take a little while, but I encourage you to stay with it, because if you don't need this information now, it may be helpful in the future for you. I certainly, once again, hope you don't find yourself in need of this information. But if you're looking for work as a software tester, here would be my top 10 things to tell you. First of all, let's deal with the elephant in the room, okay? Let's talk about AI. And AI has certainly upended the market. And the thing about it is it will only increase, and it will only get better at what it does. And, I remember back, I was teaching a class back in 1993, I believe, in Orlando. And one of the persons in the class, one of the people in the class there, they just happened to mention that they had found something on the internet. And there were probably about 20 people in that class. And they all looked at this person, and one of them said, "What's the internet?" You know? And if you think back, everything that's happened since then has just been a remarkable change in the way we do work, the way we communicate, the way we meet. And the internet certainly hasn't gone away, but it's given power to the things that we do. You know, a lot of us don't have fax machines anymore because, just send an email, just fax it, or as opposed to faxing it, rather. So I think AI is going to be kind of in that same realm, that it's going to be a major seismic shift in how we do our work. But keep in mind that AI is a person, or is not a person, rather. It's a tool. It does not have feelings. It may appear to at times, but AI will get things wrong at times. In fact, it happens quite a bit. And so, there's a big perception thing around AI. In fact, there was a story that happened a couple of weeks ago, I believe, where Claude actually created a blog post about how AI was going to reduce the need for COBOL programmers. And IBM lost $30 billion of market capitalization just from the response in the marketplace, the shareholders basically, that decided, wow, if that's a major part of their business and AI is going to just make it evaporate, I don't want this stock anymore. And so that market perception was the big thing. Now, the reality around that, and I can kind of speak to this because I'm an old COBOL programmer, and I've worked with a lot of these old systems before that are trying to be modernized, which, by the way, if you ever ask, why don't they modernize more systems? Well, it's because the business rules are really not well documented, not well understood. And it's not just a matter of writing code. Okay, it's a matter of really understanding what that code is doing. Can AI help in that? Certainly. It can do forms of analysis. It can scan through a lot of code better than probably any of the static analysis tools we have today. But it's not going to take the place of engaging with stakeholders and trying to find out, what that code is doing, and to get the big picture of re-architecting and re-engineering some of these older systems. But bottom line here is that as testers, we need to kind of make this big shift from task proficiency to thinking, intuition, and analytic proficiency. It's not how well or how fast you can do a task like testing or creating test cases or those kind of things. AI is going to be able to do those things. What you need to be thinking about, how you need to be positioning yourself, is how do I do the things that AI can't do? AI does not have intuition. AI cannot engage with stakeholders. And also another important thing to understand is AI does not use the software and apps that are being created. That's something that only people do. And that's the perspective that we bring to testing. And, I was watching this movie last night, Deepwater Horizon, that's on Netflix. And there was a thing that really caught my attention. In fact, it's really the crux of the show, where there was a test that was supposed to be done on the concrete to see if the concrete was stable enough before they proceeded with their drilling. And according to the movie, I have not researched this out into the actual facts of the story, but according to the movie, that they said, nah, we're good. And there was some drama around making the case for this test needed to be done. And so they ran several other tests around that. And based on those tests, they kind of convinced themselves that there wasn't really a problem, that that concrete test didn't need to be done. Well, think about software in that regard. Who's going to make the message when testing gets skipped that we need to go back and we need to do certain things? Or who's going to be the advocate for the customer? Who's going to be sitting in the meetings with the management and making the message about here's something that really needs to be done from the software quality perspective? It's not going to be AI, probably. Then the other thing about AI is who's going to test it. I mean, a lot of these companies are terminating, many thousands of people, but the assumption there is that AI doesn't need anyone to do any kind of verification or validation of what it's returning. And I can give you so many examples of times that I've been using AI and what I'm getting back is just obviously incorrect. It's a hallucination. And so that step has to be in there. Someone has to be doing that. Now, the problem is, though, that this is something that has traditionally been true, that people at the very highest levels of management, whenever they see a new technology, they tend to think of its real immediately. They don't see the journey that has to happen to make that technology a reality. And this extends to test automation. You'll hear many of these same points brought up about test automation. Look, not everybody is doing test automation well. In fact, I would say it's still maybe a 50-50 proposition. Yes, there are companies that are successful with test automation, but the senior management perspective is we can automate nearly everything. And it doesn't take much work. If you've worked in test automation, you know how much work it takes. So there's this idea from the very highest levels of management that AI and test automation can just replace so much of what people are doing now. And that is one of the reasons you see these mass reductions. And I think there's going to be some rebound from that when people realize that, no, it can't handle everything. We're going to have to get some real intelligent humans involved here again. Now, AI is not going to replace all jobs, but it will replace the people who either don't want to use AI or don't know how to use AI. This is a major upskilling effort that is going to be required for nearly everyone, not just testers. I mean, nearly all professions that have any kind of intellectual aspect to them at all. So just kind of keep those things in mind with AI. We're dealing with things that we're still trying to figure out, and it's a rapidly moving target. So the second thing that I would encourage you to be thinking about is what makes you different from every other tester out there, and AI included. Is it your social skills? Is it the analytical skills that you have? Maybe deep product knowledge that's just not documented anywhere? Perhaps AI knowledge that makes you able to use AI and other tools very effectively. You need to kind of take that little self-inventory from that perspective and make sure that you can express that and make sure it comes through on your resume. I have more to say about the resume here in just a minute. But you need to make this part of your thinking and your messaging about who you are. It needs to come across in any interview that you do. My third thought here is that human resources has become much less human. There was a time when, as a test manager or a consultant or something like that, I would be tasked with trying to get some candidates to interview for a team position, and I would have a stack of like 50 resumes to look at, and it was overwhelming. I would spend like maybe 30 seconds per resume, just kind of scanning the high points. And, it didn't do it justice, but I didn't have time to go through and read in depth all the resumes. Well, now we have AI and we have algorithms, and the HR department is not doing so much resume screening anymore. It's really you against the algorithms. So, I'm going to have some things to say about resumes once again, just coming up here. But if at all possible, try to go around the typical submission process. If you see someone hiring for a tester and you know someone that works there, try to go around that by sending your resume directly to your friend and ask them to pass it upward. I have an amazing story about this. There was a point in time, it was, I guess, around 2019, I guess. It was just before the pandemic that my business was just not doing well, and I decided, well, I need to get a job. And so I tried applying through all the normal routes and everything, and I just was not getting anywhere. I had a couple of 3 interviews, but they just weren't good fits, and it was just becoming to be a long process in a time where the market was still, fairly favorable to testers, and for a lot of folks. So I messaged LinkedIn on LinkedIn one night to a friend of mine, and just asked him if he was aware of anyone that was looking to hire anyone, and he said, "Yeah, send me your resume tonight." So I did. I sent him my resume that night. The next day, he contacted me and said, "Hey, they want to interview you." So I said, "Great." I got the interview like the following day. I went in, did the interview. Now, the interview, interestingly, I knew 3 of the people already in the interview, and they knew me. They knew my background, what I had done in the industry, and all that, and they had a slot just perfect for me. I had a job offer on the way home, and I don't think I would have ever gotten to that point had I just gone to the corporate website or whatever and submitted my application there. Honestly, the algorithm does not know me, and I would have gotten totally screened out by that. So that kind of leads to my 4th point here, is that your contacts and your network are your most valuable assets. You want to be sure that you stay in touch with them, even though you may not be looking for work now. You never know when you're going to need to reach out and get some help from someone in your network. My 5th point is probably maybe my most controversial one, and I'll explain it. And that is that I do believe that certifications really do help. And I'm basing that on just the many stories that I've heard, but also the data that is supported by the percentage of employers that are looking for ISTQB foundation level certifications and others, other types of ISTQB certifications. Let me be clear on that. ISTQB is the big name now, and they're the big game, and that's the one that the employers want the most. And it's primarily foundation level. Now, yes, I do have a course on foundation level. If you want to check that out, I have e-learning and live courses. I try to do a live course once a month. So, that training is available, and it's also available from other training providers than me. You can also download the syllabus for free. Training is not required for any of the ISTQB certifications. You can download the syllabus and for any of them at the ASTQB website or the AdSQA website, which I would strongly encourage you to visit and check out the value points they have there for certification. But there's just a lot of good stuff on those websites, a lot of free information, things that you can access sample exams, all kinds of things. Now, of course, the exam is going to cost money regardless of how you prepare for the exam. But once you get the foundation level, then you can go on to the AI certifications. ISTQB has 2 of them. There's the general AI. It's just called the AI cert. And then you have the Gen AI, which is generative AI. I would recommend both of those, as well as they also have their test automation certifications. Now, at SQA, they also have an AI micro-credential stack, which is very affordable, both for the e-learning and for the exam, as well as a test automation stack of that, which is likewise, it doesn't cost very much to go through the training, I think less than $50, and the exam is also less than $50. So if you don't have a certification already, I would encourage you to look toward that, because it's going to be a plus in your favor. Now, are there hiring managers that might actually screen you out because of a certification? Yes, there probably are. I don't know what to say about that. It's kind of like not giving someone a chance because they don't, or because they have a degree. Okay, if you don't believe in college degrees or something, and someone has a bachelor's degree or a master's or something, and you immediately reject them, I just think that's faulty logic. And, it doesn't mean you're a great tester. It just means that you have the knowledge that the company is looking for. They've decided that this is valuable. They've already been doing training, putting their own people through this, and you would just, if you have the certification they're looking for, you would be a better fit. My 6th thing is to conduct an honest self-assessment. Really take a good look at your own self and just ask, what do I do well? That's kind of the skill side to things. What are the strengths? What are the things I really do excel at? And once again, I encourage you not to take it so much from a task perspective, but from more of a what can I do that AI can't do perspective. Also, which attributes do I have strongly? These are things that are in you, like reliability and the ability to get along with other people, the ability to work with stakeholders, those kind of things. These attributes are things that are very difficult to train in. It's hard for me to train social skills into a person. I can teach them how to test all day long, and it doesn't take too long for that to happen. But some of the attributes are a little bit tougher. These are things that are just in the person, okay? Where can you improve? That'd be another thing to ask yourself. And what do you need to learn? And who do I need to stay in touch with? These are all some really interesting questions to think of and to ask yourself. The 7th thing I have is to target your resume, or your resumes, as it may be, because you may need many different versions of your resume, one for each objective you're trying for, and maybe even one for each company or role that you're trying for. And when you're showing the things that you've accomplished on your resume, don't just say that I did so-and-so or did such and such, but also indicate what did that produce of value. Try to show how you added intelligence and human reasoning to the things that you did, and what did it really profit the company that you were working with, or the organization that you were working with. And you also want to take some time, not a lot of time, but at least some time, and research the business that you're applying to. Go to their website, find out what they do, find out about the business domain that they're in, and try to reflect that some way in your resume. Try to get it in your keywords. That would be very important. My number 8 thing is to invest in yourself. Now, I know this may be hard financially, because if you're looking for a job, your income is probably down, and low and you may be getting concerned about that, but you can still look for free and cheap opportunities to learn, especially learning about AI, automation, social skills, interviewing skills. Just keep your eyes open for these opportunities to learn. And then stay positive. That's a really big thing. It's really easy to get down when things are low and you don't see quick results and that kind of thing. You tend to start thinking, wow, is this going to go on forever? Read some inspiring books, talk to close friends, and remember that, it just takes the right person to see you, to like you, and to hire you. So just don't give up on that. Just keep plugging and try to stay on the upside. My 10th one is a little bit related, but it's to read. Read testing books, read AI books, read test automation books, read articles that have current content about AI since it changes so rapidly. And it doesn't hurt to keep a log of what you've read and to keep just some notes of the insights that you're getting from the things that you've read. An interview question that I often ask if I'm doing the interviewing is, well, tell me what you've read recently. And after that, I ask, what did you get from it? You want to be able to answer questions like that. Well, those are my 10 things. Now, if you do these things, here's the thing. I think you'll probably be in the top 10% of job seekers. And that one thing alone will increase your chances of finding work. That is a big thing. So, just remember that this is something that is just taking more time now to do because of the market. But once again, it's just finding that right company, that right person that your story resonates with, your experience resonates with, and they think you'll be a positive contribution to their company. So bottom line, hang in there, don't give up. And if you need any kind of advice or coaching, feel free to contact me. You can do that through my websites. I have them in the description here, but it's riceconsulting.com and mysoftwaretesting.com. I'm more than happy to answer questions by email. And I also read and reply to the comments that are here on the video. So, hey, I appreciate you watching today. Once again, if you find this information helpful, please feel free to share it and also subscribe if you think that this information may help you in the future. I'm going to be producing many other podcast episodes as we go forward. So I would love to see you just become a member of my channel, and I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me today. Thanks a lot, and I wish you all the best.